Hey everybody, we are in Psalm 120. This is a shorter psalm, so I'm going to read the whole thing and then we can discuss it. In my distress I called to the Lord, and he answered me. Deliver me, O Lord, from lying lips, from a deceitful tongue. What shall be given to you, and what more shall be done to you, you deceitful tongue? A warrior's sharp arrows, with glowing coals of the broom tree? Woe to me that I sojourn in Meshech, that I dwell among the tents of Kedar. Too long have I had my dwelling among those who hate peace. I am for peace, but when I speak, they are for war. I was trying to follow the train of thought throughout this chapter. The psalmist starts with crying out to the Lord, and the Lord answers him. He says, Deliver me, O Lord, from lying lips, from a deceitful tongue. I'm not sure if he's talking about his own tongue here. I'm almost thinking he is, based on what I see in the rest of the psalm, because he continues on to say, Woe to me that I sojourn in Meshech and dwell among the tents of Kedar. Too long have I had my dwelling among those who hate peace. And then he says, I am for peace, but when I speak, they are for war. So I'm assuming he's talking about his words being for war. His company in dwelling with these people is affecting him to turn his heart from peace. And going back to verse 2 where he's talking about the lying lips and the deceitful tongue, I read something a couple days ago that was a reminder that, yes, lying is sinful, but believing a lie can be just as damaging as telling a lie. And we see that evidence everywhere. Probably the best example of this is the very first sin ever committed. God has provided Adam and Eve everything in the garden except one tree, and he tells them, the day you eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you will die. And in chapter 3, verse 4, Satan says to the woman, You will not surely die, for God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. Satan is flat out calling God a liar. And Adam and Eve believed the lie. From the belief of that lie, we get the fall of mankind, the curse of the world. And yet God does not leave us abandoned. He gives us hope in the sweetest promise ever. Continuing in verse 15, I will put enmity between you, that's the serpent, and the woman, between your offspring and her offspring. He will crush your head, and you shall bruise his heel. I changed the word there because ESV does say bruise and bruise, but I love the other translation that says crush and bruise because it just gives a better visual picture. And so even though believing the lie caused all this suffering that we experience now in the world is due to this sinfulness. But yet there's a promise here from God saying, but I'm going to make this right. That the seed of the woman is going to crush Satan and death.